All righty, guys. All Facts Media. My name is Andrew Robinson. Of course, joined by my twin brother, Aaron Robinson. Today, we are joined by George Washington men's basketball coach, Jamion Christian. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No doubt. So first of all, we kind of want to talk about who you are. How you're joining into coaching. Obviously, you played at Mount St. Mary's. Were able to obviously get the coaching job at Mount St. Mary's and then Siena and now GW. So kind of talk to us about your journey just from playing basketball and then kind of how you got into coaching and just kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I've always been a guy who loved playing basketball. I was fortunate. My high school coach is a Hall of Famer, my Hall of Fame high school coach. And so fortunate to play for someone like that has great knowledge. And then having a chance to play on a state championship winning team in high school with great teammates, guys that went on to play college football mostly, but obviously very dedicated in what they wanted to do. And I felt like in high school, I got a great example of what it's like to be on a team that's successful. Because obviously everybody's talented. I think we all realize that as you climb this mountain, everybody's talented. So it's not always the most talented that win, but it is the team that's able to connect the most and able to kind of build the most. And we were able to do that with our high school team. Guys were able to put their egos aside, including myself, and really just work towards a common goal. We went 26-0, won a state championship in Virginia, first one in our school's history. And so, we're obviously really proud of that. And so a lot of my learning really started there, being in that locker room with guys that were talented enough to maybe do a little bit more, but were all willing to sacrifice a little bit. And so I go from there, I go to Mount St. Mary's, play for Jim Phelan, who's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, 800-plus wins in his time, coached over 1,200 games or so, which is a feat in itself to be able to have that kind of ability to do that. So, playing for him, and anytime you get a chance to play for a legendary coach, you realize that the game is really simple, that it's about players making plays. It's about coaching staffs giving confidence and believing in them and putting them in the right places. And that's what you get with Coach Phelan. You get a guy who he had done it for so long. He coached for 49 years, and I had to be there in his 47th, 48th, and 49th year. So I was just fortunate enough to be with a guy who understood it so well and could really teach it. And so, I played there for 4 years, a captain for 3 times there. It really put some building blocks into what became a championship team laid down the road for them. And then, I'm fortunate. I'm in the right place at the right time, coaching a small AAU team out of Richmond, and a Division III job opens up in Southwestern Virginia at Emory Henry, where I get a chance to go on and step on there for a guy named Bob Johnson, who is just one of the best teachers, mentors, was a Army Ranger. So he was built a little bit differently, but he gave you some great discipline and some leadership. From there, Emory Henry to Bucknell as operations, Bucknell to William & Mary with Tony Shaver, from Tony Shaver to Shaka Smart at VCU to head coach at Mount St. Mary's, and then Mount St. Mary's to Siena and Siena to GW. So, life kind of takes off that way. It will for all of us, and it will for you all as well. But, just fortunate to be with the right people at the right time and learning along the way.
So obviously you've been, a bunch of places, obviously, like you just named. I guess, what have you kind of taken from all those other stops, your Tony Shaver, your Shaka Smart, and kind of implementing that into your, coaching philosophy now?
Yeah, I think that's the thing people don't realize. Like, the more systems and more people you get a chance to work for, man, it's such an advantage, because I feel like I walk into any kind of situation and I can kind of try to figure it out because I've seen it done. When I was with Bob Johnson and Emory Henry, we played this really up-tempo style we called the Emory Henry running attack. We had to shoot the ball in 11 seconds, and the other team had to shoot ball in 11 seconds. So it was kind of like our game versus Quinnipiac when I was at Siena. There's a lot of offense there where we're playing 3 versus 2 for a lot of the game. And but it was just really innovative. We had a chance to really look at it differently, to look at building our team and our roster in a way that would allow us to have a lot of success then and down the road. So we obviously played really fast there. We pressed and played 20-plus guys every single night and did a lot of different things. We shot 75% of our shots from free or something absurd. But it was just fun to kind of step in and be able to do that and be fearless and a chance for the opportunity to be at your best. Then you go to Pat Flannery at Bucknell. They had just beaten Arkansas in the NCAA tournament. They had just beaten Kansas in the NCAA tournament the year before that. So I'm walking into one of the best mid-major programs in the country as the first operations guy there. And Pat Flannery is a guy who's just like a business. He runs his operation like a business. And so for me as the operations guy, getting a chance to be side by side with him every single day. You know, often when you're in a basketball program, the guys always laugh at the operations guy. They're always kind of like, what does the operations guy do? Everything, everything.
Right.
His job is to do everything, whatever the team is needed to be at its best, whether it's organizing and doing that stuff. So I had a great chance with him to really walk beside him every day. And as he had meetings with donors and he had meetings with people on campus and just kind of learn, you know, how do you handle these situations, which I think a lot of head coaches step into, they struggle with the first time because they haven't had to do that. I had a chance to be there right beside him. He taught me everything on how to handle situations, and also a great basketball coach. Always had a play in his hip that was going to work in the last 2 minutes. Just one of the best with that. Tony Shaver is a guy who lets his guys play. It's great to watch. I mean, from Hampton-Sydney to William & Mary, his best guys always had the opportunity to make great plays for a team. He never held those guys back. And so watching him do that as we changed systems and styles at William & Mary, he always maintained that. You know, he let his best guys play, and he really defined roles for guys that were not the top 1 or 2 guys to allow them to be successful. And then you go to Shaka Smart at VCU. You know, we're pressing and trapping. You know, we're there doing havoc, and we're ball screening in all kinds of different ways. So you learn that. But I think the most important thing you learn with Shaq, you know, again, being a young black male, is you learn how to be you in front of the guys, how to be you in front of the nation, and to be confident being able to do that. Because until you can see someone that can do it that way, you don't know, you know, you kind of need that inspiration to be able to see it. So Coach Smart for me is a guy who just gave me great inspiration to be me and to not be afraid to be different. You know, obviously the way I connect with our guys is different than how some others do, but to be proud of that, to understand how important that was and to lean on that in tough times. He also taught me a ton of great basketball stuff too, as he's a great mentor for me. But I think, you know, that's one of the biggest takeaways with him, you know, just to how to be you and not to worry about being someone else. You know, and I still lean on him today for a lot of information as well.
Great, that's great. So switching gears a little bit, obviously, you know, this is kind of uncharted territory that we're in now with the coronavirus, and it's had a very profound impact on sports, the whole sports world, kind of. But more specifically, with college basketball, obviously, you know, the spring off-season period is kind of canceled. Spring recruiting has been canceled. So, kind of talk about how the coronavirus has impacted your program here at GW.
Yeah, you know, it's been an incredible challenge for everyone. You know, the first thing is I just want our players and their families to be safe. That's my worry every morning when I wake up and every night that I go to bed. You know, that's my first thought, my first feeling in my heart. It's just like I just want our family unit, which includes their family, which includes their extended family, which includes people that they love. I just want them to be safe, and I want them to know that we're all here for them, whatever they need. You know, I just want to make sure we're doing a great job of being supportive to them, because this is an unprecedented event that's going on. And there's no way that I can say today what tomorrow will look like or what next week will look like. And I think a lot of times in leadership, people are expecting us to lead from the front, which I think is important to be able to do. But I think when your leadership can also say, man, let's take a deep breath, let's evaluate it, and let's continue to get more information. I think that's valuable as well, and just as it's comforting. So that's the first thing on my mind every day. It's just our guys trying to find a way to connect. Everyone had this distance learning. Everyone had to adjust to online learning. So I think in the first week, I felt like everyone was trying to give our players way too much information. Like they had to figure out their classes, they had to figure out, their professors were trying to figure it all out. I mean, there are a lot of adjustments for them. And so I went the opposite. I said, okay, get all your academic stuff together. We'll take a deep breath. We'll figure out the basketball part of it, right? We'll figure out the stuff, how we can grow our team. But I wanted them to kind of just not to feel like they needed us over top of them. You know, I trust our players. I believe in them. We've got great academic achievers in our locker room. And so I believe in those guys. So I wanted them to just be able to assess what they needed and then bring those needs or things they needed to us, and know that we're there for them. I'm just all about really supporting them, supporting their dreams, supporting what they're trying to do on a day-to-day basis. And I felt like those first couple of weeks, everyone was throwing so much information at them on what they needed. I wanted them to be able to process the most important thing right now, which was their academic stuff, and getting used to that. And then now we're building in some stuff every week on Sundays. We have certain games that they're going to watch through the course of the week, and we're going to talk about and discuss some great college basketball games, because I think you can never watch enough great basketball. And then we're going to do a podcast a week that they have to examine and talk to us about. And I want to keep growing their mental state, but I really want them to just feel loved and appreciated and to know that we're here for them.
That's really interesting. I've never heard it, or that's the first time I've heard, anybody or a coach talking about, the mental piece of it with, watching games and podcasts and everything. You've got a lot of coaches that have, done the Zoom meetings as a team, met with their players that way, and, obviously keep tabs on them academically as well. I guess from an athletic standpoint, are you guys having any type of, maybe Zoom workouts? I know that there's regulations as to what you can and cannot do, but, athletically, what do you guys doing to make sure that they're, staying in shape or taking care of that part of it as well?
Yeah, so I'm really different with that. I feel like right now we do so much with our guys in the spring, and I feel like it can be too much. If our players were here on campus, we would lift, because I think lifting is obviously important, and we work on important flexibility. I think you can do that all the time, but we probably play more pickup right now than doing individual workouts. And I would let a guy, if he wanted to work out, obviously we'd work him out. But we'd be playing more pickup and just getting up and down. I think it's important to keep your love of the game. And I think the love of the game is inspired when you're trying to be king of the court and you're trying to run the court every day. I think that builds our enthusiasm as competitors to play. And so if they're here on campus, the spring would look very different for them. It would have been more about playing pickup. Maybe we'd give them a set or something we want to work on, or something to grow their basketball mindset. But I'm a little bit different with that. And we wouldn't even have started workouts until probably this week. Wow. So, like right now what they're doing, the strength coach gave each of these guys an individual plan of things they're working on, which they're working on. We just got them moving this week and kind of, I think sprinting is next week and sliding might be next week or something. But for the most part, we're just trying to really be mindful of them. And again, I would give them more time off than most. Even with the NBA, these guys finish in the NBA, they take a month off before they start working. And in college basketball, we start them up, they give them 1 week and we start again. Yeah. I don't think that I don't want to be that way. I want to give those guys a little bit of time off and then kind of let them take a deep breath, let them love playing the game, because you know how it is when the season ends, everyone is emotionally drained because you put everything into it. And I think as coaches, sometimes we act like we're the only ones emotionally drained. And again, leading on my playing experience, I remember what it was like when the season ended. And you're just so tired. You're so hungry for the future. You want to keep getting better, but you're physically and mentally tired. And so I've always wanted our guys just to take a deep breath, reset themselves. Let's get our energy in the right places. And then now let's go attack the next goal.
Yeah. I think you bring up an interesting point. And it's actually something that we had been discussing on the Coach's Corner previously about this idea that, a lot of coaches and programs, like, you go so hard in the spring off season with your training, and then you go so hard in the summer. It's like by the time the season comes, then everybody's like low managing. It's like, all right, your best player is not going to practice, for more than an hour, and then you might hop on the bike or something like that. And it's like now this coronavirus is kind of presented maybe a new philosophy, a new way to think about it, to where, all right, well, we're going to have this time in the spring where we're kind of off and laid back, and then you can kind of build up in the summer, getting into the season, so that you can kind of peak in the season, as opposed to, guys are kind of being down and having to kind of, your body's kind of worn down by then. Like, what do you think about kind of that idea?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think us having to challenge ourselves with it. And I think all of coaches, and myself included, we're like, man, these people are working this hard, so we've got to work this hard. But I think it's about working hard, but it's also working smart. And I just remember, a few years ago, we could only start on October 15th. And we would make it through the season and we wouldn't have that many injuries. Yeah. And now we get to January, February, we're like managing all these injuries that I didn't think we had before. I think, that's one of the things that's interesting. I think there's a certain amount of mileage you're going to have on your body. And I think us trying to manage that over a duration of time, I think is important. And I think giving them the proper time off. And that's why I've always kind of had this philosophy, when the season ends, they're getting significant amount of time off. I also want our guys to be a part of a college community. I want them to enjoy going to GW. I want them to love going to GW. Sometimes the springtime is one of the most fun times for them. A chance for them to make new friends and to meet new people. I think we can do it all. I don't think they have to be regimented, 24 hours a day, basketball. I think we want people that are balanced, that can appreciate more than just one side of it. And so that's always been my approach in the spring. And I just think you don't want to get to the year, like you said, and now you're load managing guys. And, let's be in the right place. Let's be in the right mindset. Let's be in the right place all the time and be able to go and attack it the way we need to.
Yep. One thing that the coronavirus has had a huge impact on is recruiting. Obviously, you can't have anybody on campus right now. Coaches can't go to a high school and recruit. You can't. After the spring life period has already been canceled. What have you guys been doing, from a recruiting standpoint to kind of keep up to date and keep in contact with the guys that you guys want in your program?
Yeah, it's actually been good for us. I've got one of the youngest staffs in the country. These guys are really innovative, and they really attack it. And, they have great relationships with both players and coaches all around the country. We're really genuine with how we operate. I think a lot of times in college basketball, there's a lot of transactional relationships that are created. We're really working not to have those kind of relationships with anyone, not with our players, not with our recruits, not with coaches. So I think in times like this, it really helps because everyone's looking for what's real. They're looking for what's genuine. We're really fact-based recruiting, so we give you, what exactly, if you fit us, we love you. If you don't fit us, we kind of let you know that, and we kind of work that way. So I think it's helped us a ton because we are identifying the guys that they're going to make our program better, not just from a talent standpoint, but from a mental and a leadership standpoint as well. And so I think in times like this, when you find those kind of people, they're looking for that kind of connection. And so it's really helped us. Again, I really love where we are right now, what we've been doing to build our roster up, because I think it's allowed us to be who we are, and it's allowed us to go and attack certain guys in the process. And I think we've gotten really good results out of it.
So kind of switching gears a little bit, you were able to be a part of two championship teams, two tournament teams at Mount St. Mary's, and you obviously got to Siena, and now you're at GW. In Atlantic 10, back here in DC in the DMV area. What is your goal for GW? Like, if you could say, your vision for the program, where you would like it to be in 5 years, what would that be?
Well, this is a place where anything is possible. That's why I always wanted to be here at GW. Being in the heart of DC, being around the most elite people in the world on a day-to-day basis. One of the things when you walk into my house, it's iron sharpens iron. And so you'll see that when you walk in, you'll see that all around my office, that I'm just so big on that. And I think when you're able to align yourself with the elite, the elite do certain things that are so well that you have to be around them to learn it. But you also have to be in that environment where you're being competitive every single day to overachieve. And that's what the elite people do. And they kind of make it seem like it's easy to do. And so that's why I love GW. I feel like I'm amongst the elites. And now we get an opportunity to bring players into a place where they want to be at their very best. This is where you do it at. You come to DC, the world's most powerful city where decisions are made, and you want to be a part of that. And so we've been able to really lean on that some. I think there's no reason why GW can't win a national championship someday. I think it's that kind of place. I think it takes the right kind of dedication, the right kind of love to be there. They've been as high as number 6 in the country at one point. Not too long ago, they've been to Sweet 16s. Our history in the A-10 is just about as good as anyone's. And I think people forget that. People look at history as though it's recent history. And history is about what's been happening through the years. And through the years, we have one of the best programs in our league. We've had a few down years, but we're battling ourselves back up. And if we do a great job, like I believe we will, and we're putting the hard work in, and we're getting great support from our administration, from our president, to our CFO, to our athletic director, great things are possible here. We just have to keep making the right steps every single day, keep bringing the right people in here that are accepting and appreciative of the challenge, because it is a challenge to say that, and I think people are afraid to say that. People are afraid to have big goals. But obviously, you know me well enough to know that I'm not afraid to say that and to work towards that every day. And I need a group of guys in that locker room that are working towards that every day. And I think we're building towards that.
Obviously, you coached at Mount St. Mary's, which is in Maryland. You're coaching in D.C. now. You grew up as a Virginia guy, So you have strong roots to this area, in this DMV hoop scene. Obviously, like you mentioned it, just being in DC, obviously it's one of them, hotbeds for recruiting. You'd be stretched to find better basketball in any other portion of the country. So talk about what it's like, being in this area, being able to recruit in this area, and just that luxury of being in DC, in the DC basketball scene.
Oh, I love it. It's the best high school basketball in the country. You look at all the different leagues, the players that are coming out of DC, the players that are powering the best teams in this country, the players that are powering the best teams in the NBA, right? It all comes from right here in the DMV area, and it's just amazing to be a part of. We want to just be a program, and we've kind of always focused inward. When I was at Mount St. Mary's, we recruited the most DMV players in any team in the country, and we've slowly but surely basically done that here at GW. really pouring ourselves inward and just trying to make a priority of the guys that are here close. And I think you all know, the guys that are playing on these different teams are so talented that sometimes they could be the third or fourth best team on their high school team and can go to one of our teams and be one of the best guys on the team. And, I think one of the things that happens here, they have great youth basketball starting when they're really young. If you go to a fifth grade game, it's going to be a sellout fifth grade game, and people are going to be yelling and screaming. And so I think our players from this area just grow up understanding the pressure it is and what it takes to be really good. Also because of that, you have so many great workout guys that are around here that are teaching and developing from such a younger age that they're learning skill-wise how to operate, learning how to move. It's just so different any other place that I've been. And that's why I always feel like we're just going to keep doing a great job right here, trying to keep our guys home. Everyone comes in here and takes our guys. That's kind of part of it. But we're going to keep loving them up and keep building our program up. And as guys choose to stay closer to home for us, we're going to have great results. And, I've already been really excited about the guys we've been able to attract here, the guys we've been able to get to campus, and we just got to continue to work at that. But it's an amazing place, to be the school in the world's most powerful city. There are a lot of guys out there that want to be a part of that, and we just got to continue to do our part.
So, we don't want to keep you forever, but I do have one more question for you on a lighter note. So, rewinding 2 years, you're the head coach at Siena. Me and my brother are student athletes at Quinnipiac University, and we play you guys in the game at the Times Union Center. My teammate Cameron Young goes for 55 points. You have a freshman that goes for like 40, 10, and 5 or something like that. Triple overtime game. I mean, looking back on that game, like, what was it like just to be a part of that? I know what it was like for me watching that. I mean, it was really spectacular for me. What was that like coaching in that game for you?
One of the most fun games I've ever been a part of. You don't know this about me, but I'm not all like winning and losing. Like, those things happen. I just love to be about great events where people are competing and leaving everything on the floor. That's what I was most excited about. And, we're down 19 at the half. And you guys are really playing well. You're a good team. That's one of the things you come in, you go, it's a good team. We're down 19 at the half. And I just had a group of guys in that locker room that had such great fight and tenacity. And they battled through so much in their careers. And they were fearless in their attempt to go and be at their very best. And so we're down 19 at the half. Yeah, I think you probably thought I would have come in at halftime and yelled and screamed at our guys. But I didn't. I just reminded them who they were and what we needed to do. And then we just started climbing back into the game with ferocity. And it was just an amazing game. And Cameron Young, what a great player. You know that going into it. We want to do a great job on him. We don't want the guy to go for 55. But he happens to go for 55, and we make some mistakes, and he burns us for it. And there are a bunch of guys on that team. Rich Kelly was playing really well. And, it's just an amazing game to be a part of. And, I think it was a 4 overtime. Was it 4 overtime? 3 overtime?
Oh,
4 overtime? Three overtime game. We're kind of going back and forth. We're making a play. You're making a play. We kind of score at the end of regulation to get it to overtime. But just an amazing game. And I look back at that as one of the best games I've ever been a part of. And I love that. Yeah, we lost the game, but I look back on that game and I just think, man, like our guys left everything on the floor. Your team left everything on the floor. And what I thought was amazing was our recovery of our team. So we lose that game. You guys earn the right to win that game. But we come out 2 nights later and play one of our best games of the year. And that's when I knew we had something really special grooming. Because, a lot of times you play that game and you don't have anything left in the tank. But our guys were so hungry and they had such a fight about them that we went on and really played well. We won that next one, and it really got our season going. And I think when you're trying to develop a team, you're trying to develop a mindset that you're never out of the fight. And as long as there's time on that clock, we're never out of the fight. And that team had that, and that game really epitomizes that. And when you walk off the floor and both teams get a standing ovation at the end of the contest, that's what you sign up to play college basketball for. That's why people pay their tickets and pay their money to come watch you play, and they bring their kids to watch you play to see something that they may never see again. And I felt like that day, it was a great crowd at Times Union. They walked out of there. They felt like we may never see that again, but they had great respect for both teams.
That's all the questions that we have for you, man. We thank you for joining us today on this episode of Coach's Corner. We really appreciate your time. Obviously, we know there's a bunch of stuff you could be doing with your family and whatnot during this time. So thank you for sitting down with us today. I
appreciate it, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep spreading the good word.
Yes, sir.
We definitely will. Good luck to you guys at GW.
Thanks so much, guys.
No problem.
Appreciate it, Coach.